Hi, David here with suicidefishing.com, Facebook, and YouTube, same name. Hey, and we have a new adventure. It's a new adventure. Anyways, we're getting a little bit of resistance with the name Suicide Fishing. And I want to maybe just chat about that for a little bit. I've got a background in the military, and I've got a background in law enforcement, and I understand and I realize that suicide is a challenging phenomenon in the United States, and I also understand that we have a younger generation that's also challenged, I guess you could say. And I'm X generation, thick-skinned, and and so when we came up, and actually when we came up with suicide fishing, ultimately it was about the jigs I made, and I gave some of my jigs to a blogger that has millions of followers, and he went out. This was before he had millions of followers, but he went out and used these jigs, and he was just getting started in jigging, offshore jigging. And a couple of weeks later, and I've explained this in a previous video, but I think I need to explain it again. In a previous video, I explained this, but he came back. I saw him a couple weeks later, and he came back, and he was just super excited about my jigs. And the irony, he described it. He's Filipino, and he described it as, I just dropped your jigs down below, and I jig, and it attracts the fish. He caught a lot of fish off of two of the jigs I gave him. And he says they just come up and they look at it and they bite the jig and they commit suicide. I get them up to the boat, And so he coined the term suicide fishing, suicide jigs. And so, I know this triggers people, but there has to be some reasonable thinking as well. The vast, probably 99% of the people that hear the name, I get compliments on it all the time. It's a great name, it's catchy, and as you know, in the world of blogging, a name is almost everything, and it's difficult to find good names. And so I went with it. Suicide Fishing, my boat, Suicide Fishing. Facebook, you have to jump through hoops to get to my page, and the reason why is because do you need help? Can we call someone for you? Suicide's a serious issue, and I agree, but people need to think reasonably. People are so easily triggered nowadays, and it's just, I was raised where, I'm flipping a sissy bar on my Schwinn, a banana seat, and big ape hanger handlebars and chopped forks, and we would jump off of ramps, and we'd flip and fall down, break bones, bloodied up. And what happened? We sucked it up, and we went back at it. And nowadays, it's completely different. People are triggered. And so, anyways, I just wanted to explain this. And I understand that, that at some point Facebook may say, we're cutting you off, so we're sort of preparing for that, but we're going to run with Suicide Fishing, but we've come up with a different name. We're working on getting everything set up, but it'll be Palawan Offshore Adventures, okay, aka also known as Suicide Fishing. And so, problem with that is it localizes us. Suicide fishing has more of an international reach, where someone will say, "Oh, Palawan offshore fishing, that's halfway around the world. Don't need to hear that. I need Florida or Cabo San Lucas or South Pacific, Hawaii, something." So it's a strategy, and it's a strategy to monetize. And so I don't think anybody can blame me for that, but what I don't like is when someone who normally wouldn't think about this jumps on the bandwagon and starts pointing the finger. They're a keyboard warrior, and it just doesn't make sense. So I made the change, Palawan Offshore Adventures. I got some feedback from it, and surprisingly, feedback from people that are good friends of mine who had concerns about the name, but they didn't disavow me or disown me. They knew who I was. They know my personality, my character, my demeanor. They deem me a good person, and it just raised an eyebrow, and it's like, I could see how it could work. And they know that I'm not someone that's, making fun or laughing at people that have challenges and have thought about suicide. And here's the other thing, and this is how much I know about this. It's limited knowledge, but at some point in every single person's life, at some point, vast majority of people thought about committing suicide. So, but what happens? Why aren't we all dead? Because the vast majority of people realize that they can work through their challenges. Okay, some can't, and that's unfortunate. But it's come on. Remember in junior high school, and for me it was Christy Kolstad. Years and years and years ago, this blonde, 6th grade, I was so in love with her. And her daddy was a policeman. It was out in Campbell, California. And she was my first kiss ever. And I was so in love with her. And then when we ended up separating, I was devastated. All these raw emotions. I had no idea what was going on. My heart was pounding. I just felt like I couldn't live without her, And, and I'm sitting there going, I'm going to kill myself. Here you are, 6th grader. And then, I'm going to go kill myself. And then, boom, friend calls up. Hey, on a phone that's hooked to the wall on a cord. Hey, David, let's go to Stevens Creek Reservoir on our bikes. And all of a sudden I forgot about her, and I'm off running around with my friends. And so everyone's had an experience, an emotional experience, where that thought of suicide has been fleeting. But most of us we're not devastating enough. We contemplate it, but then boom, we just move on with our lives. And it happens. And like I said, it's unfortunate. But please don't think that I am minimizing this at all. Okay? Majority of people are like, wow, that's a cool name. I wish I could have come up with that. Okay? The minority is they don't like it. And I've been hit. People have come on and said some things, very few people, and I just come back, and it's unreasonable what they're saying, and they treat me like I don't know what I'm talking about, and again, keyboard warriors, something they can do at home in their mama's basement in their underwear, attack me. And so, Mom, leave me alone, I'm busy, you take out the trash, 27-year-old, right? In his underwear. Anyways, I've been guilty of that as well. I've been in my underwear, but my work is a lot more productive. So, anyhow, be reasonable. If you want to attack me, do it. Let's have our engagement, our conversation, and maybe, chances are, you see this video, you're like, you know what David's saying makes sense. And like I said, there's a lot of people who wish they could have done the same thing. And so yeah, I'm working with what I've got and with what has happened in my life and my circle of friends, and here in Palawan, Philippines. And so I'm compromising. First I'm like, I'm gonna go with this. So yeah, suicide fishing, but it's so we're going with Palawan Offshore Adventures, also known as suicide fishing, and we'll see if we can't balance this out. All right, not and that's me trying to be reasonable and accommodating, and so I've talked to several people about it. And so this is what we've come up with, and so I hope that works. So anyhow, I've got another video. I haven't blogged for a while. We're going to start blogging again. JR's behind the camera there. Had extensive conversations on this topic as well. So we're going to see what we can do with it, and we've come up with some strategies regarding getting our subscribership up there. Facebook is challenging. YouTube is way better, and we're trying to figure out how to compromise and capitalize on one video, two sites, but I'm not sure if we can do it or not. So, and your comments and information will be welcomed. So, anyways, got a meeting I got to get to. David here with suicidefishing.com, Suicide Fishing Facebook, the page, and Suicide Fishing YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe, and go out and give someone you love a hug. I hope you have a wonderful day.